In this module, we'll be focusing on hand-eye coordination.
These exercises are going to help you to be a lot more meticulous and precise with the way that you direct the edge or the point of the blade.
As a brief warm-up, grab a weapon. You'll see Michael has a saber, however a foil or epee will do. Place your fingers at the top of the blade, and then move them in a centipede-like fashion. And you can pull the blade up through your hand, and you want the guard to reach basically right under that pinky finger. Then you want to let it down slowly in exactly the same way that you brought it up. For this next exercise, you're going to need a ball and a spoon. Tennis ball is great, or you could use really any kind of ball that you have laying around. You want to place that ball in the spoon and put it in your on-guard hand. Then get an on-guard position and just do some basic footwork. Obviously, the object here is to keep the ball on the spoon, and the faster you go, in other words, the quicker your steps, the more challenging it's going to be to keep that ball on the spoon. Try a lunge and you'll see it gets even harder. Challenge yourself and see how fast you can go. For this next exercise, you're going to need some marbles and a cup. If you can't find marbles, just try and find something small and round, and as a last resort, you can always use coins. Now you're going to get into a plank position on the floor and dump those out in front of you with one hand. Then you're going to use that hand to pick up those items and put them back in the cup, all while keeping your body in the plank position very stable. You want to be really careful not to let your hips bend down so your back arches. You want to make sure that you're stiff like a board throughout the entire exercise. When you finish the first side, you can either take a break or go right into the next set with the other hand. Everyone's going to have a different level of endurance, so make sure you listen to your body while also challenging yourself. For this exercise, you're going to need a ball. A tennis ball works great. You're going to get into on-guard position, holding that ball in your backhand. Then you're going to practice throwing that ball and catching it with your on-guard hand. You can do this in several different progressions. The easiest is with your eyes open. To make it a little bit harder, start with your eyes closed when you throw it, then open them in the middle of the throw. And for the hardest version, keep your eyes closed the whole time. For this exercise, you're going to need a weapon. Michael has a foil, but a saber and epee will do just fine. Stand close to the wall about a forearm's distance, and you're going to move your arm using your shoulder, wrist, and elbow in a clockwise and then counterclockwise rotation. The goal is to try and keep the tip as close to the wall without actually touching it. You'll see you'll have to exert a lot of control so as not to scratch the tip against the wall. I hope you enjoyed Module 1. Go ahead and move on to Module 2.
In this module, we're going to focus on foot speed.
These exercises are going to help you stay light on your feet, control the distance, and maintain a positional advantage when you're close to your opponent.
In this exercise, you're going to need two weapons. If you don't happen to have your weapons nearby, just grab some sticks, or you can also use tape on the ground. You're going to want to put one weapon in front of you and one behind you. And you want to measure that distance out to about 3 steps. Then you're going to settle into on-guard position and take very small advances until you reach the first weapon, when you'll change directions and do very small retreats until you reach the back weapon. Obviously, you don't want to hit either of the blades, so this requires short, precise steps. For this exercise, you don't need any props. Just settle into on-guard position and begin by tapping your feet quickly in place. Then switch to very short advances, followed by very short retreats, then return to tapping. When you switch between tapping and taking steps is entirely up to you. However, if you want to make the exercise harder, you can download a random timer app from the App Store and set a very short interval which will tell you when to switch. For this exercise, you don't need any props. Just settle into on-guard position and start by taking 2 quick, short advances, followed by 2 quick, short retreats, then 2 quick, long advances, followed by 2 quick, long retreats. You can make this a little bit harder by switching your tempo up a little bit, but make sure to keep your upper body relaxed and your hand slightly in motion. For this exercise, start in on-guard position, and then take a half advance forward, then return it back to on-guard position. Then take a half retreat step and move it back to on-guard position. Then do the same again in front twice, and backwards twice, then forwards 3 times, then backwards 3 times. Then you'll want to work your way back down to 1, and once again back up to 3. The key is to keep your hips very stable, not allowing your pelvis to move at all. Thanks for completing Module 2. Hope you enjoyed that.
In this module, we'll be focusing on mobility.
When you're in close distance with your opponent, it's when your body's most likely to do movements it's totally not used to. So it's important for it to be loose, limber, and ready to make sure that you don't get injured.
For this exercise, you're going to sit on the floor, putting your front and back leg in a 90-degree position. Then, keeping your hips stable, you're going to lift your back foot off the ground using the muscles around your hip and your glute to control the movement as much as you can. Then, if you have one available to you, grab a resistance band and wrap it around your foot, lifting it up to the point where you feel some resistance in your hip. Then, push your foot down towards the ground. The key for both of these exercises is to move as slow as possible. For this exercise, you're going to need a thick washcloth and a mat. Lay the mat down on the ground, folding it over to create some extra cushion. Then, put one knee down on the mat and straighten the other leg out in front of you. Then, keeping a slight bend in the knee, you're going to want to extend gently out into a split stretch. The key here is to feel like you're trying to lift your toe off the ground using your hip flexor muscle at the top of your quad. When you've hit the end of your range, just remain there. Then, using your hamstring, begin to pull yourself back in. It can be really helpful to have something next to you, like a stool or a chair, to make sure that you're able to keep your balance. For this exercise, you're going to need a tennis ball. Stand about an arm's length distance from the wall and put the tennis ball behind your knee on the outer side. Holding the ball in place, lift your knee up in front of you, 90 degrees out to the right, rotate it down parallel to the floor as best you can, then finish the rotation all the way around. Then come back, reversing the direction the exact same way. The key is to keep your arms straight against the wall and your hips as stable as you can. For this exercise, you're going to need a thick washcloth and a mat. Lie the mat perpendicular to the wall, get down on your knees, and put the washcloth between your hand and the wall on one side. Straighten your arm, keeping a slight bend in the elbow. Use the small muscles around your shoulder to rotate to your maximum range inside, then switch directions to the outside. Continue until your arm fatigues, but don't push it too far. The key is to keep your arms straight against the wall and your hips as stable as you can. Switch sides when you're done. That's it for Module 3. Now you can move on to the 4th.
We'll be working on balance.
The more control you can have over your balance, the longer you'll actually have, even if it's just a millisecond, to make a better choice of action in a critical situation.
For this exercise, you're going to need a roll of tape. Place a line of tape on the floor about 3 feet long. Then settle into on guard position with your heels along the line. Jump in the air, making a 180 rotation, and try and land with your heels back on the line. If you miss, no problem, just readjust your heels. The object is to be as close to the line as possible while keeping your balance. You can do this in either direction to challenge yourself. For this exercise, you're going to need a roll of tape. Place 2 short lines of tape about 1.5 feet apart from each other. Standing on one leg on the first line, do a small jump landing on the second line. Then jump back to where you started. You'll find that as you pick up the speed, it's difficult to keep your balance. You can do this forward and back, or you can also do this laterally. For this exercise, you're going to need a rubber TheraBand. Begin by looping it around both of your ankles, then get into on-guard position. Shift your balance to your back leg, then use your toe to tap out to the side, then tap out to the front, to the other side, and then to the back, making a square motion with your foot. You'll find it's difficult to keep your balance as the foot moves in different directions. When you finish, you can shift your balance to the front leg and repeat the exercise in the same 4 quadrants. For this exercise, simply stand on one leg. Keeping your back straight, reach to the ground with the opposite arm. Slowly return yourself back up, reset, then return back down to the ground again. To make this exercise even more challenging, simply close your eyes. Switch sides when you're done. Thanks for completing Module 4.
It's designed to get your blood pumping and work on your conditioning.
Solid aerobic and anaerobic conditioning is really important because it's key that you be relaxed even when your pulse is elevated, so you can choose the right action to execute.
For this exercise, stand with both feet together, then jump up in the air with both legs straight. As soon as you land, jump right back up again and continue on. You want to stay light on your feet while maintaining high velocity. In this exercise, start on one leg, then lower your body and spring to the other leg laterally. As soon as you land, jump right back. Continue back and forth using your arms to keep your balance and your body in a tight position. Just like in vertical jumps, you want to be light on your feet while maintaining speed. In this exercise, get down into a plank position. Tuck one knee in close to your chest. Then, jump and reverse the position of your feet, and then automatically jump right back. The key is to keep your body stable while your feet move at high velocity. Make sure you don't let your shoulders pass above your hands. In this exercise, first settle down into on-guard position. Then begin tapping your feet quickly in place. Then transition to pulling your knees just a little bit higher. Then pull your knees as high as you can, maintaining as much speed as possible. Switch back down to the medium height, then back to the low height again. The key here is speed so you can get your heart pumping.
In this module, we'll be working on core strength.
The ability to get out of tough situations requires control of your body, which starts with your core.
For this exercise, you're going to need a mask. Lie down on a mat or soft surface, flat on your back. Then place the side of the mask against one thigh, and then put your opposite elbow against the opposite side of the mask and hold it in place. Engage your core and make sure the other leg is lifted. You're going to want to feel like you're trying to crush that mask in between your elbow and the top of your thigh. The more you increase the pressure in your core, the harder the exercise will be. Switch sides when you're done. For this exercise, lie face down on a mat with your arms in a T shape like a cactus. Tighten your core, then use the muscles in your lower back to lift your upper body slightly off the ground. Keeping your core tight, move your arms out in front of you, sort of like you're making a snow angel. Hold briefly at the top, then return your arms back to a cactus position. Repeat as many reps as you like, then rest. For this exercise, you're going to need a mask. Lie down on a mat or soft surface, flat on your back. Put the mask between your knees, squeezing it gently. Squeeze the muscles in your glutes, bridging your body up so that your upper body and your legs no longer have an angle. Hold that position for a moment, then return back to the ground. To make this exercise more difficult, lift one leg off the ground at the top of the bridge, then return to the ground before lowering down. Switch sides when you're done. For this exercise, you're going to need a TheraBand with medium resistance. Wrap that TheraBand around a beam or some sturdy object. Then stand facing slightly away from that object with the band in your on-guard hand. Keeping your core tight and your arms sturdy, twist away from the band, holding briefly, then return back to that normal position. Repeat this on that side, then switch to rotating the other direction, keeping the band in the same hand. When you're finished with that side, you can switch over to your non-weapon hand.